I'm losing money because the trash point of sale system doesn't work in a sales department. Hello, thanks for being here again. If you don't know me, my name is Jasmine. I am a realistic pencil artist and my main channel consists of drawing videos, but this is my second channel where I do TV commentaries, movie reviews, and I tell the occasional story time. And guess what? Today is story time. What are you doing? So today I'm going to be talking a lot about why I quit working for Verizon, all of the things that led up to me finally resigning last year after working there for 8.5 years. I've been wanting to do this story time pretty much since I quit my job. If you don't know, I used to work at a call center. Technically, I worked at a call center that was contracted by Verizon, but we handled all Verizon customers. So for the sake of simplicity, yes, I worked for Verizon. Okay, so just a little bit of background. You might have not seen my last stories on this, but it's a call center, but in the last 4 to 5 years of working there, I was in web chat where I could avoid working with people as much as humanly possible. Well, I could avoid working with the customers. So the first reason that I didn't want to work there, and really was a huge reason, was because I'm an honest person and I saw a lot of questionable stuff going on down there. One of the first reasons and the main reasons why I quit was because I noticed that there was a lot of fraudulent stuff and I just didn't feel comfortable being a part of it. That is one thing that grinds my gears, is stealing, and it was often overlooked. If you're an OG follower, you know that I used to do videos on people doing fake art, and that really just is something that bothers me. You can be a fake anything online nowadays. So in web chat, we were trained regularly to identify different types of fraudulent chats. People still often overlooked it. I even had coaches that told me that I can still place the order even if I'm really not sure. See, I have a conscience that didn't allow me to defraud people. I would feel immense guilt if I knowingly did something like that. So that's one of those things where there's like a 50% chance that you'll get written up for placing fraudulent orders. A fraudulent order is basically when the person that's chatting with you, they're using certain verbiage that is consistent among fraudsters. They usually call you dear or honey often, and they're repetitive in what they're asking. They often ask you to order ridiculous amounts of things, or they start getting really demanding, or they ask you to ship to another country, or if you look up the shipping address, it's invalid. There have been fraudsters asking agents to order 10 pairs of the AirPods, which were $250 at the time. And there were agents that placed them just to get the sales. They were consciously participating in fraud. Other times we'd do credit checks, and the customers that were setting up the service were sometimes fraudulent. So if you, the agent, if you truly suspect that there was fraud going on, we have this little button that you push once the person fills out the form. There would be lots of times where we did credit checks and you send this secure form to the customer. They fill it out. Everything is like blocked on our side. We just see like all of these dots showing up. The only thing that we can actually see is like the service address and their email. We can't see their social security number or anything like that. That's private information. And then you would have to push this little button. It just sends it to the fraud team and you have to wait. So that's when you have to inform the customer that you're chatting with that they're required to call the fraud team. They have to just verify their identity so that you can complete your order, because once it's on hold, you can't move forward to do anything. Normally with a fraudster, one of 3 things will happen. 1, they'll lie and say that they called. 2, they will call and they will fail to verify their identity. And 3, they'll curse you out and give you a bad survey. If you remember my story time where I almost got fired twice, you know that I kind of moved around to different departments in the earlier years of working there. So when I worked at the call center, the last department I was in was web chat. I was in that department the longest. I figured I would just do that for a year or two, because that will allow me to customize my schedule. After 5 years, I found out that you can make your own schedule. That was the reward for surviving 5 years at that point. That and a little metal pin that says 5 years. Woohoo! Cat, what are you doing? My cat is in my closet and I don't know what she's doing. I picked a schedule with less hours. My attention span was just shot at that point. I didn't want to be working for 9 to 10 hours a day anymore and just sitting all day. As you know, caused a lot of issues later on. I don't recommend sitting for 9 or 10 hours a day. It's not fun. And then at that point, I believed I changed to a 4-day work week so that I could get 3 consecutive days off, which is basically unheard of. I believe at first I picked Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off, and then later on I changed to working 3 hours on Fridays. So I worked Tuesday through Friday. It was a really abbreviated schedule. And that worked out well for me for a while because I started getting commission work periodically. That way I could get off work early enough, come home, do all the home stuff, and then work on commissions. Fast forward to 2022, I started contemplating quitting many times. As I've said in a previous story time, that didn't happen because I had a health problem that was really unpredictable. So it was just not possible for me to quit my job. I was constantly getting coached on low sales. I missed work often from being sick. And then when I was there, I was bored, struggling with sales, trying to keep people on chats long enough so that we'll be able to complete their orders. I got so tired, so fed up with being coached on things that were completely out of my control. It's okay if it's something in my control that I can alter and fix, but there's only so much that I can do. So back to the fraud thing. I know that a lot of agents were placing fraudulent orders. A lot of people were getting a lot more sales than other people because some people have a conscience and some people don't. Having a conscience equals a lower paycheck because you don't want to scam people out of their money. And we were told that it's okay to place the orders. They will basically just look the other way. Another thing I found out from one of my previous coaches was that newer people, they were not running into the system issues on the computers like I was. Me and some of the tenured agents, we were running into a lot of problems. Whatever was going on with our profiles, like I don't know if they were too old for the ordering system. I don't know what was going on, but I had a coach that finally found some information and was telling me after me like reporting this for 2 years, I was getting so fed up with everything. He said, yeah, well, the newer agents, they're placing orders without issues. He's like, it's just the tenured agents having the problem. So the new people were making more money than the tenured people because they were able to place a lot of orders consistently every day. We had a work chat where we would talk about the constant problems with the computer ordering system. The POS system was literally not working, and when your entire job is on the computer, well, I guess you'll just have to sit there and suffer and lose money. Everybody has their own online profile, their own user ID, and so from what I was told, the issue I was having was because of my profile. The actual ordering system, it wasn't compatible or something from what I was told. It's not like they can just make you a new profile or that they want to or that they were going to do it. They were just going to let you sit there and go through that every single day, talking to the customer for 1.5 to 2 hours, only to not be able to process the payment or not be able to edit somebody's shipping address or the order timing out, so you have to completely restart everything, not being able to click submit when literally the entire order is almost done. You're at the very end of the order process, not being able to submit credit checks, not being able to start orders, getting 75,000 different error messages. I would always complain in the work chat room, and people kind of probably thought that it was because I was there for so long and like, oh, it's just Jasmine complaining again. I feel like it was kind of turning into that because I was complaining every single day about different errors that I was running into that was keeping me from placing orders. I would not have cared so much if it wasn't affecting my paycheck, where most of your money is sales. Did you know that you can make more commission than your actual paycheck? And you better not even think about taking off Black Friday or iPhone launch days. You better show up 90 minutes early and sit and place orders. Only you can't place orders. Who cares if the Verizon website crashed or the POS crashed?
As far as customers go, well, I'll just say during a launch season, which is when manufacturers launch new devices every year, and during Black Friday, people act more entitled than ever. The entitlement was on another level with Verizon customers. The most hilarious thing is when people try to buy things they know they can't afford. And the other funny thing is we get people that were hundreds of dollars past due on their bill trying to buy the new iPhone. If you aren't familiar with this, Verizon has this thing in place where you cannot buy a new device if you're past due on your bill. Most carriers have that from what I know. Customers would get attitudes. For what? Make it make sense. Why are you mad? Clearly you're not poor. Just pay your bill so we can proceed on our merry way.
You can't place orders. You are going to sit there and like it.
When I was working earlier, I was watching this video that came up on my suggested tab. It was by AbaNPreach. It was probably a couple of years back now, and she went viral because she did not want to give up her vacation time time to a coworker who planned her own time at the last minute. This lady, she had planned her vacation way ahead of time, told her boss months in advance that she was not going to be there. Then they tried to talk her into doing that at the last minute. And then her coworker looked at her like she was a gremlin. By the way, their laughter is really contagious. You can't not laugh.
I'm just telling you what they're saying.
And I'm just telling you what I saw.
Fair. I'm going to hit play. Sorry. You're right. I'm wrong. Let's carry on. Let's work together. Okay. I don't want no problems, sir. I'm a good man.
And I'm just telling you what I saw.
Okay.
Why you just look so threatened all of a sudden?
I'm scared.
Why?
I don't know, but I am. So please, let's carry on.
So Preach was talking about this place where he sold cell phones a long time ago when he had a regular job. What he said reminded me of when I worked at the call center, how people would often take their 15-minute breaks, because you get two 15-minute breaks and you usually get a lunch if you work full time, and people would decide to take extra breaks and they thought that that was okay.
I was working for a phone company selling phones in a store, and it's crazy how we would get two 15-minute breaks and lunch. But the people that were smoking could go out and smoke every time there was like a break. Let me go for a break. And the manager was like, yeah, you know what I did? I bought a pack of smoke. And I said, let me go smoke. But you don't smoke. And I was like, I do now. It's weird that they have extra breaks. Like I can't go on break, but they got extra break because they smoke. It's like if I was working in an environment and be like, yo, I'm going to go on a cocaine break. It's a drug at the end of the day. And you allow them to take a break and I can't. That's weird.
People took smoke breaks all the time, and where I worked, almost everyone smoked. I would say 98% of the people at that call center smoked. If you remember the video where the managers tried to fire me twice, that's the call center that I'm talking about. I've only worked at one call center, but it was earlier in my call center job that I noticed this. And a lot of the managers would go take frequent smoke breaks with like the people on their team. So, the smokers got a lot more breaks than the people who didn't smoke. So obviously their online compliance was a lot worse than ours because we were sitting there working, being more productive. It's ridiculous to have that many breaks in a day. You clearly have a problem if you cannot make it an entire workday, an 8-hour workday without 5 smoke breaks. If you can do that, then I can go take 3 extra breaks and go in the break room and be on my phone. It's only fair. I also want to mention that the entire call floor smelled gross. Every time you went in there, it smelled like BO and cigarettes and other smells.
The first couple of years that I was in that department, I was making a lot of commission. There were times where I regularly made anywhere from $600 to $800 in bonuses. That was already more than the regular hours that I worked. So my regular paycheck plus $600 to $800 in a bonus every month.
Let me explain to you the Verizon survey scoring system, which affected our bonus, by the way. Like anywhere from 10 to 20% bonus could be taken away if your customer satisfaction surveys for the entire month didn't reach a certain goal. Anything less than 4 out of 5 stars is a 0. It takes you 4 surveys that are 5 stars to make up for 1 bad survey. Surveys that are anything less than 4 out of 5 stars automatically are a 0. People give you bad survey scores for no reason at all. I noticed that happen pretty often. So think about the next time you leave a customer service survey for somebody. It better be a score that they actually deserve. It can affect their paycheck. If you didn't provide good service at all, obviously score appropriately. If they did provide good service, take that into consideration and score appropriately. I would look at my survey scores throughout the day because it updated every few hours, and then I'd go back and review the transcript of the chat I had with that customer, and it was often the people that couldn't upgrade their device for whatever reason, people that couldn't afford things, or it would be the people that I chatted with for 1 to 2 hours only to find out someone didn't have their card and they couldn't pay for their order, or they had a fraud alert on their account or a past due, because that's my fault for no reason at all. But wait, there's more. The best part is they don't dispute survey scores. Whatever score you get is what you're stuck with, regardless of the reason that you got that score. Whether it's someone fraudulently using someone else's account, or their identity to set up an account, or it's Karen that isn't able to finance an iPhone because her credit is bad. There is no difference between someone that needed to be transferred to tech support because this is sales, and no difference between someone that needed to verify their identity with the credit department. Any Sally, Jim, or John that you chat with can leave any type of survey they want. They don't distinguish between that and the legit people that you get.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
puny god.
So with the iPhone launches and the Black Friday promotions, the largest bonuses I was getting, those were over $1,000. And then I think once I made a $2,000 commission, by 2021 and 2022, with all the trouble that I had just mentioned, I was struggling to make $200 or $300 bonuses, and it was like, what is even the point? I was making $15.68 an hour after a raise. That was a 26-cent raise. That was before commissions, like I said. I think I got a raise and then I started working from home during the pandemic.
I was always getting out of my desk to do stuff when I was waiting for customers to respond to me, because sometimes they would take like 20 or 30 minutes. I will say that was one of the best things about working from home, and I'm not going to sit there for 20 minutes staring at a computer screen waiting for the customer to chat back in. Or if my computer was down or something happened, I would go do dishes, walk the dogs, go get a snack, go clean something. I would go away from my desk and go edit video while I was on the clock, because there was nothing else to do when I'm just waiting. So I feel like that almost made up for the multiple breaks that people would get a day that I didn't get to have. Even the people I chatted with where I did make sales, I didn't always get a positive rating. A sales chat takes a very long time. When someone is buying a device, you have this long checklist you have to go through. You have to sell them the highest insurance that is offered. Anything below that, you don't get a commission for. You have to sell them accessories, wait for them to pick out the accessories they want, and of course, they always push us to offer the big ticket items. You get a small percentage of that total that you sell. You have to offer tablets, watches, ask the customer what they use their device for, and of course, you get that customer that wants the newest phone on pre-order that they can't afford. You ask them what they use their phone for, and all they say is, I don't know, texting, social media, calls. Okay, Brenda, then you don't need a $1,600 phone to go on Instagram. Sorry, you just don't.
Eventually, my complaints and my poor performance led me to work in person. I was work from home for 2 years, and they pay you 50 cents more an hour to be there in person, which is still not enough to live on. I am not about to do overtime and sit for more than 10 hours a day. A very sedentary job, which I don't like. November 2022, I think I was more fed up than ever. I was just done. Kind of get to a point where you stop caring about stuff. I let my coach know that I was putting in my 2-week notice. She was understanding and she asked why. I replied back in the work chat, well, I'm like, I have health problems that I'm dealing with, and also I don't like it here. I said those exact words. And then I had to write an email to HR to let them know that I was leaving. That was pretty much the end of that. I had to return my computer.
Before I quit that job, I did do some stuff to kind of set up for that. I saved up money. I made sure to sign up for insurance for my pets. I got my last doctor appointments that were going to be covered under my insurance, and my inhaler refills, because one of my inhalers, I would not have been able to afford that because one of them is almost $300, because I wasn't sure when I was going to get insurance again. So I wasn't poor enough for the state insurance, but not rich enough to pay every month for it. An insurance limbo, if you will.
I also remembered that one of the Black Fridays that I worked, I think it was 2021, I got so frustrated that I wanted to cry and scream. We had a huge fraud problem. There was like a fraud wave. I think there was some kind of fraudulent call center set up somewhere. I would say about 40% of my chats were fraudulent. I can tell just by how they were talking. And we could actually see the location of some of the places that these fraudsters were chatting in. Like we could see the city and the country, not like the exact address, but Verizon is a US based company. There's no Verizon in other countries. So if you have somebody chatting in from like India or the Philippines or Mexico, and they're chatting in to buy stuff and try to ship it to them in another country, then that would be fraudulent. We don't ship to other countries. Those were huge red flags. I got a lot of those. Why am I getting so many fraud chats, but other people were too? They were placing a bunch of fraud orders even though they weren't supposed to be doing that. So that's why some people were getting 10 to 12 sales in a day. 10 to 12 sales in a day is quite a bit for being in web chat. We had to be on 2 or 3 chats at a time. So having to manage 2 or 3 concurrent chats is quite a challenge, because they have this list of stuff that they want you to ask the customer, procedures to follow on every single chat. They want you to build rapport with every single person. Even if somebody is spending 45 minutes asking you stupid questions on one chat, you have to try to get through the checklist of things that you're supposed to do on that chat while the customer is wasting your time. And then you have another chat where the customer can't pick the color, so that chat actually goes inactive while you're waiting for them. And when a chat goes inactive, another chat comes in. So you could have a whole bunch of chats, just like a whole bunch of concurrent chats throughout the day, because the inactive one still stays on your screen. Whenever they reply back, that like reactivates the chats. You could have 4 or 5 active chats at any point in time, and just you'll never know until it happens. But you better just deal with it. They want you to sell like a tablet or a watch or both with somebody that buys a phone. They always wanted you to offer to add a line of service, like add a new phone line. A lot of people did not want to do that. I remember that was always a struggle. Oh, and I just remembered, so the day that I went and returned my computer, I was exiting the parking lot, and then I saw the weirdest thing. I saw a random pair of high heels just sitting in the middle of the exit of the parking lot. It was really weird. I don't know what else to say to that. It was just bizarre. They don't have any going away parties or anything like that because it's a call center and there's such a high turnover rate. You'd be having parties 4 or 5 times a day with that kind of turnover rate. I was there for 8.5 years. I started working there in February of 2014. That was right before I turned 21. I didn't think I was going to be very good at talking to people, but eventually I started to learn how to say no to people. So for the most part, I hated that job. What did you think I was going to say?
Ooh, I like that job. There's an experience to grow.
No, I showed up and I got paid to argue with people. Does it build character? Debatable. Tell me about the time you quit a job in the comments. Write a whole novel. I want to see the whole story. Subscribe and turn on post notifications. I make TV commentary as well as movie reviews, so you can check those out. I do have a list of movies that I want to review. The most obscure, hole in the wall, out of the way movies that you've never heard of. Well, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. And the cat is telling me that we need to go to bed because it is almost 2 o'clock in the morning. It's past your bedtime. Pick a shoulder. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Say bye to the cat.